So, Manchester United's pursuit of a midfielder has been heating up since they've walked away from the Ugarte deal. From Sander Berge to Yusuf Fofana to Andre to Joao Gomes, as other unnamed targets could be Human, could be Mendes, a potential option. There is a Amrabat that is Rabiot hanging around. But Joao Gomes is a player that Man United really like. Joao Gomes is a player that we're watching. He was a player that I got told about back in March to keep an eye out for and could be available for a £38 million fee, which is in United's £45 million price range for ADM. There's been official talks with Yusuf Fofana confirmed. The club may make a second bid for Ligt and Mazraoui. Bayern desperately want to sell. Could that deal get over the line this week? Finally, what's the latest on Sancho exit? What's the latest on McTominay exit? But first of all, what's the latest on Dan Gore? Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another video of your Manchester United news. Please do hit the like button, of course, subscribe down below if you're new. I want to start with talking about Dan Gore because it's not someone we've really spoken about in months. But do you remember the Youth Cup 2.5 years ago? There was 3 stars. Garnacho, Maino, Gore. They were the 3 standout players when Man United won the Youth Cup 2.5 years ago. We know what happened with Garnacho. We know what happened with Maino. Dan Gore's kind of disappeared a bit. He went to Port Vale on loan. He got injured. People have been saying, where is Dan Gore? Tenor gave him his debut last year. Very, very talented player. He was in the Maino Garnacho category. We've got an update on Gore saying that he's yet to return to training after a shoulder dislocation during a personal training session. He's yet to return to at Carrington. United will decide Gore's next step with his long-term development in mind. So with Dan Gore, he is still injured. There's still injury issues there, and it is such a shame. But we're ready to get into the transfer news. So what could the surprise midfield deals be? So it's been said that Wolves would be willing to accept a £38 million deal for midfielder Joao Gomes. Now, Joao Gomes is a player that is on Man United's list. I had a source give me information back in March to say watch Human, watch Joao Gomes, and watch Fofana. This could still change with Ashworth coming in, but they were the 3 names. And we know from many credible sources, Joao Gomes is a name on United's list. Ben Jacob mentioned him yesterday. It's now been mentioned by Steve today. It's a player United like. Well, he's not a 6, he's more of an 8. And I don't think it will happen, but I think it's one to watch because he could play in the pivot, but he's more of an 8 than a 6. I think he's someone that you like, United would almost like as a second midfield signing or a next season signing, or someone that would come in only if both McTominay and Casemiro are sold. But I think the fact that it's £38 million when we were thinking it could be 50-60, makes it a deal that is in United's price range that could be one to watch. Now, one that I think is one to watch, despite this report coming from The Sun, is that Manchester United would be prepared to pay $20 million for Sander Berge. Now, that report came from The Sun. The Sun is full of trash, but we know from Laurie Whitwell, a very credible journalist, we know from The Athletic, we know from Duncan Castle's credible journalist, that Sander Berge is a name on United's list and could be available for £20 million. And we know from Laurie Whitwell that Manchester United have entered talks of Sander Berge's camp. So, despite this report coming from The Sun, it correlates with everything that's been said by reliable sources. So Sander Berge for $20 million could be one to watch. Joao Gomes for $38 million could be one to watch. Is looking more like Sander Berge or Fofana. If I'm going to be honest with you, I think right now our Ugarte alternatives seem to be Sander Berge and Fofana. And you might be able to get Sander Berge and Fofana for less than PSG want for Ugarte, which probably makes more sense. I like Ugarte, but if you've got a choice of Ugarte or Fofana plus Burge, I will go with Fofana plus Burge because Burge can play as a 6, Fofana can play as an 8. The depth is there. They're both better on the ball than Ugarte. They've both got good ability off the ball. Fofana could be 25 million. Burge could be 20 million. Ugarte they want 50 million for. We've offered 42 million, which shows we have about 42 million for a DM. 45 million, a little stretch. Now, it was said by Florian Plettenberg, a very reliable source last night, that Manchester United made contact with the agents of Fofana to explore a potential deal this summer. United presented their project and plans to them 2 to 3 weeks ago. At this stage, they've not made a concrete offer to Monaco. Now, on my video last night, I reported that Sky had come out and said that last night we'd entered talks with Monaco about Fofana. So we made an offer to him 2-3 weeks ago. We presented the project to him, and that has been confirmed by Florian Plettenberg. We covered this in my live show yesterday. I said Italian media are claiming we've made an offer to Monaco offer to Fofana, and we've spoken to Fofana. But I said that's an Italian source, take it with a pinch of salt, but they were right about Xerxes. And it looks like the Italian source was right again. Florian Plettenberg, a reliable journalist, is confirming, the use of Fofana stuff, like there is truth in it. They did, present a project to them. He is a player that United are looking at. We've now got Sky saying that we've opened talks with Monaco, which could suggest there could be some big movement in Fofana in the next weeks. I think Fofana and Burge are the midfielders I'd say watch, but I would say don't completely rule Ugarte out. Now, United are continuing to monitor the Ugarte situation, so do not rule him out, but they have made initial contact over Monaco's Yusuf Fofana, who's also a target for AC Milan. Sander Berge and Richard Rios are appreciated by United. So I definitely think Ugarte isn't over. I definitely think don't rule Ugarte out, but I think it's very obvious right now. It seems to be Fofana and Burge we're most concentrated on, and that was said by the reliable Simon Jones. Now, what deal could happen next? I still think, while we're focused on midfield, I think Ligt and Mazraoui is the most likely deal to move next because Bayern want to bring in Desiree Doué, they want to bring in Tar, they want to sell the players. We should be close to selling out Bissaka, who knows? Manchester United are set to submit a second bid for Ligt and Mazraoui imminently. So according to The Independent, we're set to submit the second bid imminently. There is an expectation that the second bid is going in this week, and that has also been said by other reliable sources. Now, considering the second bid will be higher than the first bid and Bayern Munich are desperate to sell, could that second bid be accepted? It was said yesterday the transfer of Desiree Doué and Jonathan Tah are to be finalised with the proceeds of the sale of De Ligt and Mazraoui. The most important sale to obtain further approval from the supervisory board is De Ligt. Basically, Bayern need De Ligt sold so they can sign Doué and they can sign Tar. De Ligt only wants United. Bayern want to bring in those two players, so Bayern desperately kind of want to sell De Ligt. I think that Bayern, even though they know it's Man United and Euro's injured, I think Bayern, while they're saying they're not going to lower their fee, I think that there could be a compromise where United pay a little bit more than they want to pay and Bayern get a little bit less. Continuing on to the latest on Jadon Sancho. So it has been said by RMC Sport that Sancho, as of today, is not a hot prospect at PSG. Now, the last 2 or 3 days, there's been a bit of Sancho to PSG news heating up, but it's definitely one to keep a pinch of salt because PSG need to sell before they buy, and they do like Ugarte and Nico Williams. They do have other attacking options. Now, Romano said this: Manchester United have not received any bid from PSG for Jadon Sancho despite interest. Sancho's future remains open. He could still leave United in the final weeks of the transfer window. If an important proposal arrives, the decision will be up to the club. Now, I think that Man United are open to selling Sancho. I think Sancho's open to leaving. I think Ten Hag is open to offloading Sancho. And I think there's a potential Sancho could go. If Sancho and Polish should go, I think we'd make an approach for someone like Pedro Neto or an attacker in the window. But I think it depends on the offer we get for Sancho because I think we probably would need around 35 to 40 million for Sancho to replace him effectively with a decent enough player. I think that Sancho is a player that the club are willing to let go. I think the fact that they might be lowering the McTominay fee now, they want Wan-Bissaka gone, they're trying to get Lindelof out. I think United are desperate for any kind of sale just to give us that leeway in making sure we can get Ligt Mazraoui and that DM signing over the line. Continuing on into the McTominay news, it was said that Fulham are likely to go back in for Scott McTominay, and there is a hope that a deal can be done, despite Sky reporting yesterday that Fulham may not go back in. And it said that Manchester United are expecting a new bid for Scott McTominay this week from Fulham, and it seemed like they would even drop to 25 million to let him go. Ten Hag's not pushing McTominay out the door, and the player does have reservations about leaving the club. Now, I have a feeling that McTominay could leave Manchester United. I have a feeling that we will be looking to get him to Fulham because I think the 25-30 million you get from McTominay in terms of FFP is pure profit. And I think when you look at what Man United need to do spending-wise to get the targets in, I think they could really use that money. Now, I've always said don't completely rule Ugarte out, and it has been said on Ugarte that Ugarte would still like to join Manchester United as he's keen on the project. There's still no agreement between both clubs in terms of transfer fees. There's still a huge gap, but the club remains in close contract. And this was said by Florian Plettenberg last night. So despite it being a good 2 days since David Ornstein said we're looking elsewhere, it has been said by, many sources that, Ugarte, that doesn't mean Ugarte's off. That doesn't mean Ugarte's been ruled out. We also have sources like Sam Pilger continuing to link Manchester United to Ivan Toney, but it could just be Ivan Toney's agent spinning a story now because he's got 1 year left on his deal and he wants the move. So there is some news also coming out on Ivan Toney, but I think keep an eye on De Ligt, keep an eye on Mazraoui, and definitely keep an eye on Ugarte. I think it's not over, but I think if we look elsewhere, it will be. Now, I want to quickly talk about Sander Berge because Sander Berge is a player I like. He's not someone I would have in my list of DMs that I would sign United. Like my top 5 DM lists wouldn't include Sander Berge, but it is quite a sensible decision. And I actually did a 5 reasons why Ineos may view Sander Berge as the perfect alternative to United. And the main reason is number 5. And I wanted to just talk about this. So Burge is available for reportedly 20 million, and he could be United's equivalent of an Endo type signing. Well, he's a different style player to Endo. Liverpool wanted a DM, they were going to spend big on a DM, and then they couldn't get the DM they wanted in, and they went and got Endo. And Endo did a really good job for Liverpool last year as a stopgap, and he did a really good year. And also, Burge is better in possession than Endo and 6 years younger than Endo and Premier League proven. So what Burge could be is a good value DM that can do the job, and then it could allow us to go all out for an Adam Wharton type player next season. If you also bring in Burge, you could get him and Fofana for the same price as Ugarte. And while, I think Ugarte is a better DM than Burge, I think Burge in terms of, his ability on the ball is definitely better than Ugarte. He's got physical presence that suits what United need. He is mobile and good defensively. I say Ugarte does excel a little bit more out of possession. But, he's got the versatility to play as a 6 to play as an 8. He's got the attributes to partner Maino. And for £20 million, while it isn't the most exciting deal, and I think DM it should be a number one priority for United, and we should be going all out on a DM. Realistically, if you don't have the funds, it could be a good deal. Now, personally myself, I think I would like to get Burge and Fofana. I think if we just got Burge, I still have concerns in the midfield, but I don't think it's a bad signing. But I think Burge and Fofana would be the perfect mix. Listen, people, that's the end of today's video. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching.